Hi guys, welcome back to We Gonna Talk About It. It's your girl Kenyatta. I'm so happy to be here this evening with you guys. Guys, I've been preparing you for this conversation, for this topic. Um, I just want to reach out to everyone that I love, my family. You guys know I consider you my family, my peoples. Um, what we're about to be talking about is a very sensitive topic. So please, if you're going to leave comments, please be sure not to offend anybody. Um, this is a terrible thing that we are seeing in our world, okay? It needs to be discussed. Um, a lot of times when there is abuse going on in the family, in the church, um, we sometimes like to avoid these topics. But today, when we're going to talk about it, we're going to discuss it, okay? And this might have to be a two-part video, guys, because um, I've done a lot of research and I want to just make sure that I'm giving the correct information. So I went on the Mayo Clinic website and basically was looking up situations of why do people abuse children. Our topic for today is Mommy, Please Believe Me. I chose this title because I find it often when children are being abused, um, they are afraid to tell their parents, afraid to tell their mom, afraid to tell their dad. Um, there's so many scenarios we can go over, guys, but these are the ones that I have chose. And just to share this with you, I myself, fortunately, have not been a victim of molestation or rape in my life. I don't know what that feels like. I can only imagine that it is a terrible feeling. Um, but today we're talking about children. I have had molestation and rape done in my family to other people, to other members of the family. Um, they do choose, some of them, not to speak about it because, like I said, it's a sensitive topic. Um, I have been told these stories from family members in my family that have experienced this. Um, every time I hear it, I go to tears because you love your family, and family is not supposed to do this. No human is supposed to do this. But when it's a family member, it hits home. So, guys, bear with me, okay? We're going to try to get through this topic. Once again, the topic is Please Believe Me, Mommy. Guys, the first thing I want to talk about is the church, okay? I know it's a very sensitive topic, but people forget that people in the church are people. God tells us to come to church for worship. That doesn't mean that all good people that there are all good people, excuse me, in the church. Okay. I please don't get offended, anybody. I know we love our pastors, our priests, but molestation happens in the church. Okay. When our children are voicing these things and telling us these things, we need to listen. Okay, we need to listen. We need to do our investigating. I'm talking about children who are not yet able to express that they have witnessed a sexual experience with somebody. When a child gets a certain age, they kind of understand what's not comfortable to them. That is different. I'm talking about children that are so young, they don't even know what's going on, guys. They have no idea. They're thinking that this is a part of the norm. Okay, so these are the children's ages that we're talking about. Um, Priest do it. It can be done to a young girl. It can be done to a young boy. Sex is not, excluded in these situations. We have all type of, things going on in the church of this nature. Also, the Baptist church, Pentecostal, Methodist, I can keep going. You guys know where I'm going with this. Our pastors have been known to do these things as well, okay? Pastors are not excluded, okay? We should believe our children if they're telling on anyone. I don't care if it's a pastor, a priest, a neighbor, an uncle, an aunt, a brother, a sister, it does not matter. Okay. When someone does harm to our children, we have to take this and try to defuse the situation. These people that are the victims are children, okay? The doers, the perpetrators that are doing these things are the real criminals, okay? They need to be dealt with. And I know some of them, they say, are sick, but I want to read this to you, okay, guys? And you take what you want from this. Now, this is from Mayo Clinic, okay? Um, they say that symptoms and causes of child abuse are usually because there's a crisis of stress, family crisis or stress, excuse me, including domestic violence and other marital conflicts, or single parenting, a child in the family who is developmental or physically disabled. These children, they really don't know what's going on. And they can't even tell you because there's a disability with them. Could you imagine? Um, Financial stress, unemployment or poverty, social or extended family isolation. So they're saying that these can be the causes of a perpetrator to molest a child. I don't care about these facts. I don't care. I don't know what's their reason. They should be castrated. And this goes for any perpetrator that is a woman or a man. The perpetrator does not always come in the form of a male. Let's remember that. I think I touched on this in another video. When I was in New York, there was a daycare. And the child was going to the daycare. The mom was sending him there because she was working, of course. And let's just say his name was Charlie. Charlie came home with sores. He had gained sores around his mouth. And the mother just thought like it was an allergic reaction to something he ate. It wasn't something it was something he ate, but it wasn't food. Okay. I'm trying not to be too explicit, guys, but the point is this: the daycare took it upon themselves to put a camera in the bathroom. I'll never forget this story. And when the teacher, you know how they have like more than one teacher the in the daycare, she would take him to the bathroom. And while she was in the bathroom with him, she had this 4-year-old child, excuse me, performing oral sex on her. The mother had to watch this because, of course, she was arrested and everything. The mother wanted to see it. And could you imagine the hurt, the pain that she felt? It's just terrible. Anyway, guys, I know I got a little off track, but this was a terrible ordeal. And it's just so sad. I believe that those children never are the same after something like this happens to them. They're never the same, is my opinion. Okay. I'll go on. So that's what Mayo Clinic thinks about basically their theory, their diagnosis on why people molest children. Um, there have been 216,000 victims of sexual abuse carried out by the French Catholic Church from 1950 through 2020. That's what their numbers show. The Baptist Church, 700 victims since 1998. I don't know if it's been updated. This is just what I pulled out of the website. Um, I believe mothers, sometimes when it's family members, I believe that they like to not point the finger at certain people, but they need to. I believe a lot of women that's in the family, the mothers of these children that are getting molested by family members, I believe some cases the mother knows, like she has a gut feeling, but because it's so frowned upon and we're told a lot of times, I'm speaking on us right now because I only know how things are done with us, you know. Um, I know you've heard the saying, we don't talk our business to other people. What happens in our house stays in our house. These are things that I have even heard as a child, even though I was not a victim of molestation or being physically abused in any way. Um, it's very unfortunate that this happens. It's terrible. Um, I just feel like we need to listen more to our children. We need to train our children more, especially when they're young. We can't be scared to teach our children that this is not a game. Um, adults are very clever. Usually, when they're abusing a child, they try to act like it's a game. Like, oh, come on, Susan, get on my lap. Let's play horsey. These are things that a perpetrator might say to a child. Or come on over here, you want a piece of candy? Come on, they'll do anything to get to this child. And we just have to teach our children this is not a game. No one is supposed to touch you here. Also, I know you guys have heard me talk about my pudding, my son. He's 26 now, but since he was young, just able to say words, I have taught him nobody is to take you to the bathroom. Nobody is to touch your wee wee. We may not call it a penis then. We have to make up words for children, and he knew that. He would always say, no, my mommy say you can't touch me there. Children are very smart, guys. Stop thinking that children are not smart. They are. They are able to repeat the very things that we tell them, that we're teaching them. My son was maybe 1 years old. My mother used to take him to, Sunday school with her. She's a woman of the church. I was raised in the church. And Pudding would go with her. And every time those women would try to take him to the bathroom, he'd say, no, my mommy say no. You can't touch me there. You can't, no. And he would say no. People think that you're paranoid when you teach your children these things, but guess what? I'm going to have to be paranoid then. You have to be paranoid if you don't want your child to become a victim. Be paranoid. Be concerned when they're going on these overnight, camps and you're not there. Be wary, be paranoid when those children are at church functions. Be wary when the neighbor is telling your little Charlie to come over to play with little Johnny. Be wary. Your eyes are not there. You're not seeing what's going on in that place. This world is a sick world, and if we don't protect our children, no one else can. Okay, it's up to us. Teach your children, show them in any way you can see fit to help them to notice when there's something that doesn't feel right. Okay, mothers, I'm a mother. I think it's our number one responsibility when our child comes with us and say, "Mommy, your boyfriend, when you wasn't looking, he made me feel funny." Soon as something like that comes up, that's your red flag. That's your antenna that is going up to tell you this is wrong. This cannot be done. It can't. I don't care if the child goes to the father and says the same thing, same outcome, guys. And I I really tried, guys. I prayed on this because I wanted to talk about it, but I don't want to put anybody on the spot, make anybody uncomfortable. But like I said, I will say this has been done in my family. Okay? And it's just sad to know that something like this can happen. It is sad. We have to question our children. You're letting them go to the Sunday school. You're letting them go to the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts. We need to question them. What happened there? You know, you have to learn how to communicate with your children so that they're not afraid to tell. It is so often that some mothers, if this is not you, do not take this blame, okay? Some mothers do not believe their children when they're telling them, your boyfriend is touching me. Mommy, my father is touching me. Ladies, I don't care who it is. If that is my husband, if that is my child's daddy, if that is my brother, uncle, I don't care who it is. They have no right to touch your child and make them a victim. Nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. You gonna let it keep going on? You gonna keep saying that your child doesn't know what they're saying? And now I'm speaking of an older child now because I see so many times. I had a friend who used to be touched by her own father, and her mother never believed her. But as this friend got older and her and her mother were basically talking and they were being very open with each other, she bring it up again. And do you know that her mother said, I knew he was doing that to you. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to stop him. I was afraid. I had 4 children. What was I going to do to feed you guys? I don't care. Go on welfare. I don't care. If that man is touching your children, you need to get rid of them. There's no reason for you to keep them. No reason. And you should be ashamed of yourself for laying down with a man who would lay down with your own child, their own child. You should be ashamed. It's so common, guys. It is so common. Let's stop letting this be common. It is not of God. This is the devil's work. It is the devil's work. And if you don't think or you don't know that this is the devil's work, you should be ashamed of yourself too. We need to do these things, guys. I am getting emotional, and it's not even me. How do you think the children feel? They don't understand. It's not their fault. It's this crazy person's fault that is doing these things. How do you think this makes the children feel? It is terrible. Guys, this is our part one. Mommy, please believe me. I am uploading it now. You will be able to see this video at 7 o'clock. It might be earlier. After this video uploads, I will go and do part two. There is much more to be discussed. As we know, things that maybe I haven't touched on, drop comments, guys. Let me know. Have you been a victim? Somebody you know been a victim. You don't have to get in great detail. Tell me how you overcame this. And did your mommy believe you? It's your girl Kenyatta, and we gonna talk about it. Stay tuned for part two.